everyone's always talking about healing like it's easy, like it's supposed to be pretty and it's supposed to be fun and it's so peaceful. But at the same time, a lot of times healing is ugly. Healing isn't always pretty. And that's what we're going to get into on this episode of Therapeutic Talks. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Therapeutic Talks. And today we got a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jo Maraj from the Jo Show.
Thank you for being here today.
No problem.
And today we're talking about how healing isn't always pretty, right? So to start out the episode, I want to ask you, what part of your healing journey was the ugliest and how did you get through it?
Forgiving.
Okay.
I would say for me, how I got through it, it would be really just like with me, I take my time.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how they be like, you can forgive, but I won't forget.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is for me. Like I take my time and I need time for me to like process everything. And then, sometimes one little thing could set you back where, it's playing in your head again.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's the it's for saying I can't forget.
Yeah.
But really forgiving is just a process.
Okay. Now, did you feel like forgiving is absolutely necessary in the healing process, or is it just something that you can kind of bypass? Because a lot of people say that, healing is, when you're healing, forgiving the person is necessary, but do you have a different opinion on that?
Yeah. I feel like it's good for both parts.
Okay.
Like for yourself and for the other person. Because, sometimes if I know deep down, like, if I'm still upset with you or I'm still mad, I'm not gonna like be okay with it at all. Like I could be mad as ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like I go home, I sleep on it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stop for like thinking about it until I actually forgive you.
Okay. So you mentioned how it's good for you and the other person. Do you really consider the other person's feelings in the midst of your healing?
Let me just say that yes, but no.
Okay.
Right? Yes, because I feel like the other person, they could be hurting like deep down. They be
Mhm.
having that like how other people have like that guilt feeling,
Yeah.
right?
Of course. Yeah.
So that's the one thing I care about when it comes to people feelings. Like, okay, they got some guilt in them. So let me
Mhm.
let them know that I actually forgave them so they can sleep better at night. Because sometimes people really be acting nonchalant and out in the world like
Yeah.
they don't care. And the whole time, it's
Mhm.
really eating them up at night.
Yeah. Okay. So do you check in with those people during
Oh,
or he's like, nah, I gotta do it by myself. I'm by myself.
I gotta do it by myself. I ain't checking in with nobody.
Okay. Are you accepting people checking in on you, that if y'all are going through that together?
Sometimes, but I'm really bad at texting back.
Okay.
Like I don't be meaning to be that way, but it's like how you reply in your head.
Yeah. No, I'm like that too. Sometimes I'll just, I'm like, okay, I'm finna, and I'll be thinking, I'm like, yeah, I'm finna reply next couple
Yeah.
minutes, and then,
Yeah.
a couple hours go by, and I'm like, dang, I forgot to text back.
Yeah.
But do you ever feel like when you're healing by yourself, do you feel like it's hard kind of being by yourself in that situation? Do you ever crave being around someone during that time, or do you feel like being by yourself while you're healing is the absolute best part of it?
For me, being by myself, like I have to be alone.
Okay.
Like I love to be in the house, lock the door, nobody come knock on my door, nobody call me, like I give you an example. Like my dad passed away in June, right? So I left after the funeral and I went back to Mississippi.
Mhm.
And when I got to Mississippi, I locked myself in the house for like a month. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to talk to anybody. But I ended up, like you said, it's a process. So
Yeah.
I was able to come out of that and really start going back outside and enjoying myself. But when I'm upset or when I'm mad, I really like to be, alone.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have a certain, way of healing that, it may not be conventional to everybody else, but everybody does things differently when they're either grieving or just trying to recover from a traumatic experience. do you have a certain way about, healing?
Yeah, it would be on the camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like when I say I went back outside, like video, 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 video. So my way of staying okay is being in front of the camera.
Okay. What about being in front of the camera really helps you heal from that? Is it just because you're keeping yourself busy?
No, it's really getting engaged with the artist, right?
Okay.
Everybody has a tragic story to their story, sad
Yeah.
story. So like listening and engaging with the artist and listening to every single thing that, they have. And sometimes you and another artist, y'all stories align. So,
Mhm.
and talking to somebody that went through it or know like, semi of what you're going through, I feel like that's is healing for me too.
Okay. Okay. So a lot of people, I notice a lot of people when they're healing, sometimes they become mean to others or, they just don't treat themselves right.
Yeah.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're recovering from something and you just weren't being good to yourself?
Yes. I would say
Okay.
yes. It's certain stuff that I do for myself that I noticed when I was healing that I wasn't doing. Like for instance, I like to go shopping.
Mhm.
I know you just heard me come Walmart. I just came
Yeah.
Walmart. Like I like to go shopping, right?
Okay.
So I wasn't doing that. I wasn't going like I ain't even been to the nail shop either. You're not gonna give me like Manny and the Petty,
Mhm.
but I ain't did none of that. That's what I know I'm neglecting. You know,
Okay.
but and then on top of that, I eat more because I'm a big boy. I
Yeah.
like to eat. So when I know I
Mhm.
overly eat, that's the issue.
Okay. So how do you break free from that? How do you break free from like overeating or neglecting yourself, not doing the things that you usually would do for yourself?
So I would say how I did it. I really just like I just came out the house and I just say one day. It was just one day I picked out and I'm gonna go to the store today. Right.
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna go to the store again tomorrow. And I think after that I just start like just going getting back on my regular routine
Mhm.
where I'm able to make myself be okay. And then on top of that, not only being in front of the camera, I was working at the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
So dealing with kids that has trauma or sitting here telling a story to the kids and you learn more about these children, it helped me out more.
Okay.
So that also helped push me to being better.
Okay. So what's one thing about healing that a lot of people don't understand?
That it's a process. A lot of people like um I'm gonna give you so I was looking on Facebook, right?
Mm.
um a young man and his daughter was gunned down at a car wash,
Wow.
right? And so rest in peace to them. And everybody got on Facebook because the mom was like having money or something like on Facebook and she was partying. A lot of people don't understand that it's a process. Some people has to laugh to keep from crying. Just
Mhm.
because you see me smiling in a minute ago and now you see me down the next minute, you don't know what could set someone off. So I feel like a lot of people don't understand that it's a process. They just expect you to be better overnight. And it just don't work like that.
Do you feel like it's a way to, how do I say it? You said that, it's a process and everything like that, and
Yeah.
you have to work through it. Do you feel like people have unrealistic expectations for your healing process?
They do. Like I'm telling you, like I think it's I think it's just the public, right? It's like
Mhm.
the general public. When you see like in the shade room, you see them on comments when somebody die, and then you see like a loved one out. They It's like it's just a set rules for other people, and then it's a different rules for themselves.
Mm.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't know what it feels like until they go through it.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, some of them don't go through it as hard as you do because they may not have been close to their family member like you.
Okay. Okay. So, do you feel like family members have a tendency to overstep while you're healing?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay. Tell me about that.
I think with family members when they're not previewed to certain things, they ask a lot of questions and they
Mhm.
don't know when they overstep their boundaries, right?
Mhm.
Certain stuff could happen surrounding someone death and they just feel like, okay, let me call this person, ask this person, let me call this person. But them calling and asking, they don't know that they're actually hurting you, you
Yeah.
know? Because everybody know how family is, they gossip, right?
Yeah.
Especially in, and this is where now everybody gossip and everybody talk when somebody die. Whether it's insurance money, or
Yeah.
how they died. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So when they take one part from one conversation and take it to another conversation, they start a train of reaction.
Yeah.
Because now, oh, I so and so heard this and so heard that. But they not realizing that they're actually hurting the closest family member to the person that died.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that's how they really overstep a lot.
Now, do you feel like, because I've recently went through something very similar in terms of losing a parent and everything like that,
Mhm.
do you feel like people have a tendency to, kind of portray that they're super close to that individual that passed away at the last moment, or, just to garner more sympathy, or?
So I used to think like that,
Mhm.
but I do know now that, by me not being previewed to whatever like my family member and the other family member had, it's like you really don't know.
Yeah.
But some just because they wasn't kicking it like, in their grown years, they grew up together.
Yeah.
So, like you could be like, oh, they wasn't even close. But the whole time, I think some people hold on to like them childhood memories, you
Mhm.
know? And I think that's what really make people feel like, oh, they just doing that for sympathy or something like that. But the whole time, I think they really just having flashbacks and just looking.
Yeah. That's interesting because I used to think, like when I was a kid, like, I'm like, man, if I was close to somebody and they passed away, and then I'm like, I didn't see them being close to all these other people. I'm like, are they really like, like I didn't want to think that they were like trying to get sympathy or anything like that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it was a bit questionable in my mind because I never saw them around as much. But at the same time, I got to realize people have a life outside of you,
Yeah.
and it makes it kinda, it's like a gray area because you shouldn't really be even thinking like that, honestly. It's kinda hard
But
unless you're around that person 24/7.
I mean, when you do think of like that, it's okay though. Cause
Mhm.
that's when like, you still got the protective instinct over that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you still like let's be honest. Like most people in the hood, right?
Mhm.
When someone die, you see them all with the shirts on, bandanas, long
Yep.
live this person, long live this person.
Mhm.
And you see them put in their bios and stuff.
Mhm.
But sometimes I do feel like a lot of people do it for likes,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
do.
Because if they see one person, saying rest in peace and everybody starts sharing that post, I feel like then that's when everybody else come with it. But when you really just showing your respect, like let's go like Facebook timeline, for
Mhm.
instance. When someone die, what's the first thing everybody go do? Go share one of their pictures saying, "Man, I just seen you the other day.
Mhm.
Man, you hurt me. Why you leave this? Why you do this to me?" Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like you see them
Mhm.
do that. And like, sometimes you'll be like, "Okay, what is this for?" You
Yeah.
know? But the whole time I feel like it's them showing their respect, but then it's just to me sometimes like you said sympathy. I do feel like, they be just wanting people to just in the comments praying for you,
Yeah,
and
see,
then
yeah.
everybody texting you and then you don't text them back. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I feel like it's like a yes and a no type thing.
Yeah, I be finding that so crazy because 'cause I've seen that countless times, just like you
Yeah.
probably seen it countless
I
times.
just seen it this morning.
Yeah, like, people don't be like, I don't get it, like, when I'm grieving, the first thing I do, I don't immediately go to, social media. I may like throw a post out, but that's only to like certain people, not
Yeah.
everybody that passed away. I'm gonna like immediately post. Like sometimes I just need to, you know, understand what happened
Yeah.
and like, you know, understand my emotions in the midst of it, not just rush to social media. But that's what it feels like. The age we're in, it feel like everybody's gonna rush to social media as soon as somebody die. And I don't know if that's what that person would have really wanted. Do you really want, people just automatically just posting about you, or maybe that's their way of being remembered? But I feel like that's not. I don't know. That don't feel like a real way of grieving. Is just posting something on social media and be like, "Hey, rest in peace. I'll miss you," or something like that.
Now, sometimes I do have the moments where when my friend he passed away from cancer. And when when I do, like, he go through my memories, right?
Yeah.
And he pops up, I do always post, you know?
Yeah.
I have, like, a couple pictures of him. I have his obituary.
Mhm.
His name was on my last car tag, so I had put it, like, in a frame.
Mhm.
And so, sometimes I do take pictures of him, be like, "I miss you." So people won't think I'm, contradicting myself.
Yeah.
I do have that moments where I do that, but I don't do it for, like, a sympathy type thing, you
Yeah,
know?
because you're, just
Yeah.
going through memory lane basically.
Yeah. Now, when some people just do it to do it, it's fine. I'd be like to each his own. But most of the time I do feel like people do it for likes.
Yeah. Okay. So pivoting to, a different way of healing, what is the hardest part of the journey for you personally while healing?
The hardest part really would have to be I would say not only like forgiving, it would be like, like I said, getting back to myself.
Mhm.
It like that's really gonna be the hardest thing for me is just trying to forget about everything. Like I'm a person that really I don't hold grudges, but I think about everything like
Yeah.
all day, every day.
Mhm.
Like you can make me mad. I'm not gonna speak to you the next day because I'm still ticked off about it. Like you're gonna have to give me a little bit, like to cool off. But the hardest thing really would be like getting back to myself.
Yeah. Okay. So what makes that so hard getting back to yourself?
I'm gonna use my dad for example again. Getting back to myself. When I moved to Chicago, right?
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to get straight into podcasting. And I
Mhm.
remember trying to do my first interview. It did not go well, right?
Okay.
Because the person told me I didn't have enough money. So I end up start doing my interviews back again in my car
Okay.
and doing my vlogs. And I was like, I don't feel like Chicago for me, right?
Mhm.
So I worked for a good bit at the Boys and Girls Club. And I'm gonna say that when my dad passed away, and it was time for like me, mind you, I didn't stay in Mississippi alone, but I came back. I was coming back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And I was just trying to get Chicago to shake.
Mhm.
We be like, that's what I'm trying to get back to myself because it's a certain things that I like to do that I couldn't get into certain rooms here yet.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I'm back to myself. When I came back to Chicago the second time, I don't know what happened for me,
Mhm.
but everything that was blocking me from doing when I first got here, it all started coming down. Like that's when I say getting back to myself. Like my first podcast, it was with a young lady, her name Quisha Dream. Shout out to her. And after her podcast, it like, I was like, okay, I feel like me again. Let
Mhm.
me get on the road. Let me do it. And so I don't know if you went down my timeline, but I was doing podcasts back to back, back to back, back to
Yeah,
back. My
yeah.
radio show, podcast, my radio show.
Mhm.
So that's when I feel like, okay, I'm back to me. When
Yeah.
you are back to enjoying and doing the things that you love, that's when you know you're back to yourself. Like you can still be hurt sometimes. You could still just be out of it sometimes. Like I'll be honest with you. At nighttime, my social battery is drained because I do so much in a day.
Yeah.
I don't feel like myself when my social
Mhm.
battery is drained at night, but I know
Mhm.
when I wake back up that morning, I'm back to myself.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
like, I'm still in my healing process right now,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
cause it's not like we said, it's not a time limit
Yeah.
on grieving. It's not a time limit on healing. So it's a lot of stuff that Chicago it really opens a lot of wounds for me, and so like you said, it's me getting back to myself.
Do you feel like it's important to revisit those wounds, old wounds,
Hmm.
while you're healing?
Yes.
Okay,
Some
why?
say no, but I say yes because you can close it. That door is now closed. That chapter is now closed. Now it's time to open a new one and start what your new journey.
Mhm.
That what I feel like a lot of people let their past hold them back.
Yeah,
And that's
for
why they can
sure.
never be, moving to the future because they're too busy looking at the past.
Mhm.
So for me, I say that it's good to visit the old things.
Mhm.
I did. I like when I first got up here, I was like upset with my biological mom, right? And I think I finally just talked back to her like a month ago. That's when I started back talking to my siblings as well. And again, that old wounds, it feel better for me because I know that I have closed that.
Mhm.
And then everything else that happened in Chicago, I closed it. The things that happened, like, when I was younger, like in Milwaukee or Mississippi, I closed it. So it's a saying, I believe it was like, what don't kill you make you better.
Yeah.
I think that I'm saying it right.
Mhm.
Like that to me, that's how it is for me. So everything that happened to me in the past is helping push me in the future. So it's giving me like the gas where like it's putting that battery in my back where it's like I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. That's why I be doing so much.
Okay. So you're moving around so much, you're doing show after show, show after show, and you're still healing. At what point do you feel like you possibly may be neglecting your healing process by keeping yourself so busy?
Honestly, I don't really think I like when I'm doing show for show and show after show, I don't really think I'm neglecting it. I feel like I'm making it better
Okay.
because again, a lot of us, we have dreams, right?
Yeah.
So we have dreams and things that we want to go far and do. So me doing this is really healing me more, and it's like I said, it's pushing me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like me doing these shows and me doing this interview and doing this interview, it's like trying to it's like a globe, right?
Mhm.
And you know how the globe like moves around, you can move it around, you see like the snow come down, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I kind of feel like everything that I'm doing is making a whole globe where like my dream is in the inside.
Okay. Okay. So have you ever, while healing, have
Mhm.
you ever been sent back and like pushed back like your process of healing?
Oh, most definitely. Um, Honestly, yesterday was like a pushback for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I told you, learning that everything that you have done in the past like months is now gone.
Yeah.
Like,
That's rough.
that's what hurt me more. And so it kinda yesterday I was out of it. Like, I
Mhm.
don't think I never cried this much. And I'm a crybaby. Just everybody know this. Everybody about me know I'm a crybaby, so Imma cry when I get upset. But I never cried so much, just thinking about all my hard work being,
Yeah.
like, gone. And so, like, I think while going through that, I was thinking about, like, family and everything, like, I said I was gonna do this, and this video would have brought me here. This video would have brought me here because there's a lot of artists on my cards, in my footage that I never even posted the pictures with yet because I was
Wow.
waiting for a certain time
Mhm.
to post it.
Yeah.
Because it's like when we podcasting, when I'm doing my radio show, I feel like I love all the artists that's on my show,
Mhm.
but we have different artists that are up to different calibers.
Yeah, for sure.
So when I have an artist that is a B-list artist
Mhm.
and I worked hard to get the artist and now somebody else is holding on to my footage, I think about that.
Yeah.
So like that brought me back yesterday where it's like, I don't want to be here no more. I'm ready to
Yeah.
go. Like, you
Mhm.
won't believe my bag's already packed.
Yeah. That's rough,
Yeah.
because but at the same time, I have a feeling that that setback, as many people may say, is just, mounting you up for a major comeback,
And that's true.
a lot of times when you get pushed back, you have a little bit more after your grieving period. You have a little bit more like umph to you, a little
Yeah.
bit more, motivation to be like, okay, now I'm gonna make this interview 10 times better when I redo it, or what. It don't even gotta be an interview; it could be anything in life. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make this 10 times better now when I come back and redo it, or when I come back around the corner and get a chance to do it, because they feel like, it gives you another chance to shine, really, to
Yeah.
show who you really are. But how do you, in the midst of everything that goes on, because we all have so much stuff going on nowadays in life, how do you continue to push through the hurt? How do you continue to push through? It could be a rough healing experience. How do you continue to just persevere and push through?
I tell myself it'll be all right. Um It's this song that it's a gospel song. I
Mhm,
can't sing y'all, so I ain't finna sing it. But it's like, sooner or later, it'll turn in my favor.
mhm,
It's turning around. So I sing that song every single day, right?
mhm.
Because I know that it's turning around.
Yeah,
You know? Like what happened yesterday, I know today is turning around, because I know that another door has opened for me. I'm telling you, every time that something, ill happens or something bad happens, like surrounding my career, my dream, um, I sing that song.
yeah,
It's like when hold on. Like when I tell you, like, I feel like it's gonna continue to turn around, like it's gonna turn in my favor.
yeah,
So really that's how I push myself.
yeah, okay. And it's funny you mentioned that because I kinda just recently in the midst of, making sure I'm doing anything I need to do because 'cause I'm still healing as well.
Mhm,
I created a theme song for myself, not created, but, I picked out a theme song for myself for when
mhm,
I eventually do make it through everything, and then I
yeah,
also wrote myself a congratulations letter. And I feel like that's really important
it
for
is.
everybody to do, like,
It
so you
is.
can look back and be like, "Hey, I really made it through so many different things," and that's what makes it so much better when you can look back and be like, "Man, I made it through this, I made it through that," and then you can tell your story to others, and you can inspire them to go through their story or go through their hurt, and then come out on top.
Mhm.
Uh, but outside of that, what's one before we get up out of here, what's one piece of tip like advice or whatever you want to say to the viewing audience at home about healing and how getting through it and how things get better?
So for y'all, um, I'll say really, y'all already know I'm gonna give y'all my normal, but I would say just really don't give up. And whatever that you feel like, you need to talk about, go get some help. I know in a lot of black families we have this thing where what stays in this house happens in this house. Don't let you be that one. Don't allow yourself to be a statistic because when it comes to mental health or anything, because you wanted to harbor something in. No, go get some help and you know make it your thing to tell somebody else to go get some help. The same way I'm telling you to go get some help, and you take that advice and you go do it. Allow yourself to tell somebody else, and allow that person to tell somebody else. It's like paying it forward. We as a community, we all need to start helping each other. I say it all the time in Chicago. It's gatekeeping here.
Yeah,
Since I've been here, I
a
done
lot of
learned
it.
that. I done learned that, right? I'm not gonna gatekeep from y'all. Go get a therapist. If not, I have this thing where I don't care if it's cold or warm. I go to the lakefront. I have a coloring book. I go and draw.
Mhm.
I'm not an artist, but I do have things that I write. So I can write songs, and I start working on something for myself just to see if I wanted to tap into being an artist or singing. And that's something else y'all can do. Don't allow everything to build up and just attack y'all and hurt y'all and break y'all down, because at the end of the day, nobody's really going to care about you better than yourself. So yeah.
Okay, okay. One more thing before we get up out
My
of
bad
here.
if I got too deep, y'all.
Nah, you good. That's exactly what the platform's for. Why don't you tell everybody at home one more time about the Joe Maraj show and who Joe Maraj is?
So the Joe Show is something that I created back home when I knew that I wanted to get into podcasting. So I first created the Joe Show with three of my homeboys, JR, Jordan, and Cam.
Mm,
And we went to my friend guest house and we did it.
mm,
And then after that we did another episode. And then I started doing it in my car. So originally my podcast supposed to have been about really talking to foster kids and what DCFS, and really just getting in tune with them and learning, because I was also a foster kid, but I was adopted by my aunt.
mm.
And so really it's tapping into their stories.
Okay.
So, but when I moved to Chicago, it kind of took a change. It took a turn where the Joe Show is more about artists and getting their inside scoop, their background, their stories, you know? Um, and then also allow underground artists to come and perform, and I share, like, my platform so the underground artists could be seen more, they can be heard. And then, yeah, that's really what the Joe Show really is. It's just something I call it my baby. The Joe Show is my baby. Y'all know I got a theme song. It's the Joe Show. You know what I'm saying? So I got a theme song to my podcast, and I plan on keeping it. I plan on continuing with it, and then also use the radio show to promote as well.
For sure. Okay. So the link to the Joe Show will be in the description of this video. Y'all make sure to go check them out. And we like to appreciate y'all for sitting down with us on Therapeutic Talks. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. We're going to see y'all next week on Therapeutic Talks.